Our next guest is an Olympian and a champion shooter and a top shot contestant. She goes by the name of Gabby Franco. What's going on, Gabby?
Hey, how are you, Norm? Nice to be with you today.
I know. It's been a minute, no?
I know, it has been.
Yeah, I know. So, along with all of your shooting experience, you were on the Olympic team for Venezuela. That country's recently been in the news. And can you tell us what's going on exactly in Venezuela right now?
Well, it's interesting what's happening right now. It may not be a surprise for many. From everything started 1998 when Chavez won the election, and he came with that idea, that socialist idea that was going to help the people, who was going to take from the rich and was going to give to the poor. That idea that, this is for the people. It was going to be for the well-being of the people. And as years passed, what he was doing is getting stronger. He wanted more power. He changed the Constitution. He obviously changed the Constitution to his own, to follow his own agenda and his beliefs and socialist ideas.
So he just unilaterally changed the Constitution?
Yeah, well, we supposed to went to elections and it's called a referendum, and people allow it. That's what is, and that's what happened. Yeah. Whether the elections were, were good or not, meaning it was not foul play or not, on the eyes of the international community and everything that happened, the Venezuelan people allowed him to change the Constitution, and that's what happened. And obviously, with the same idea that, it was going to be for the better of the Venezuelan people.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, exactly. And basically what they do is, there's no more check and balances. The executive have most of the power. Okay. And, fast forward, we're going down to, oh my goodness, we're about 19 years in this mess. And obviously, when you start taking, businesses from people who know what they're doing, and give it, what they did is give it to people who didn't know what they were doing, they started destroying everything, the businesses, the industries, even the oil industry. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy to me how, it's not crazy to me, it's really easy it's easy to push out the idea of, we're going to give everything to the people. And but my idea of taking care of the people isn't enabling them or making them dependent. It's to empower them, to make themselves better, to put themselves in a better position, to have the independence to take care of themselves and build a life for themselves. But for whatever reason, that doesn't seem to stick in a lot of places. And I mean, we're kind of dealing with the notion of it now here in America, where you have all these people who hate the idea of empowering the individuals in our country to be in a position to take care of themselves, to protect themselves.
And my take on that, like my dad used to say, the problem with socialism is that the socialism says, let's bring those who are up here down. Yeah. But never talks about how we bring the ones who are down here up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? What they do, what the socialists they do, they say, we're going to go be equal. Now, what is equal? Equally miserable or equally rich?
That's a good point. That's an incredibly good point. So what was go ahead.
So basically, that's what they do. They keep the society ignorant. They indoctrinate, children. They go into the schools. They tell schools, they actually even went to the history books. They changed history, Venezuela's history. And they started adding how good Chavez is and how Chavez changing this. So a whole new generation is 19 years. Imagine someone in Venezuela. I mean, I want to say someone, a lot of people are 19 years old who never seen the Venezuela I saw.
That is crazy. I mean, what's kind of terrifying about it is you're kind of seeing the same things take place here in America, especially from the school standpoint. Our schools don't necessarily function as educational institutions where, you know, the idea of freedom of thought and freedom of expression are welcomed, are actually encouraged. Now it's kind of like, if you don't think this way, we're either going to keep you from coming to the school, or we're going to rebuke you so much that you're just going to fall in line. And so that's eerily similar to what I hear you say. What is what happened in Venezuela? Now, go ahead.
What they don't understand is that they cannot have it both ways. Yeah. You know, you cannot have it in the way that you say you have to. I want you to be, I want you to use your imagination, yeah, but I punish you if your imagination doesn't follow what I think. You know, so it's that double standards, which is crazy.
No, absolutely. Now, with Venezuela, prior to all of this, was there any reservations for a Second Amendment, well, the right to own a firearm in Venezuela prior? Like, was that carved out in the Constitution at all?
No, it was not necessarily like when I call it like a right. I would say it was more, people were able to firearms. Same thing that happens in many countries in South America and even around the world. Yeah. It's not necessarily a right, but it was kind of sort of a privilege, but people were able to do it. People were able to own firearms, conceal and carry. My dad, that's how I got into firearms, because my dad went to the gun range to do his shooting class. And then he found out about the junior shooting team. So it was allowed. Unfortunately, because it was not a right, it's easy. It's very easy to say, okay, we're just going to scrap it. Now nobody can do it. Nobody can have it. And that's what set us apart here in the United States, and what people, unfortunately, well, I wouldn't say the vast majority, because we still, fight for that Second Amendment, but some people don't really grasp the importance and the difference of having the Second Amendment that we have.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most important thing that Americans can learn from Venezuela about guns?
Well, one, I would say, first, never take it for granted. Mm-hmm. The fact that we have the right and probably you don't use it or you don't care about guns, that's fine and dandy. Like, I'm not into motorcycle. Yeah. But because of that, I'm going to go and tell, well, some people drive like crazy on the highway, so let's ban all motorcycles. Yeah. But I would say, one, like in Venezuela, they banned firearms ownership, no gun shops. They don't exist anymore. Jeez. No gun shop, none of that stuff. And crime is sky high. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so what it proves is that the criminals, when they know, for instance, when they know that the regular citizen, the vast majority of them, don't have the same amount of force to fight against them, they are like, this is party.
They're emboldened. They become emboldened.
But hey, they're going to go and assault a restaurant or somebody.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, think about it. Like, it's who's gonna stop them, right? I always talk about the idea. People think that once you get rid of guns, you'll have this utopic society, not realizing you're probably going to make the situation 10 times worse, because at that point, all you have to do now to deal with any situation that you want to do criminally is just use a disparity of force. So now, instead of maybe one or two people, just get 3 or 4 guys out there to commit a crime, and there you go. Now, in the world we live in now, 2, 3, 4, 5, nobody wants to get shot. So if only one person has a gun and they're being attacked by 5 people, that puts them in a pretty good position to protect themselves, versus one person against 5, and that one person doesn't have a firearm at their disposal. And so, with that being said, you watched how things devolved in Venezuela, from having the ability to own firearms to not having the ability to own firearms. And what was the excuse that was used to justify denying people the ability to own firearms? Do you remember that at all? Do you recall any of that?
Well, everything started, progressively. They started with registration, right? So you have to register.
So they start. Yeah. Okay, so it was like, oh, just everybody who has guns, just register them. Okay.
Yeah, of course. But obviously, the ones who would register firearms were, regular people.
Yeah.
I would call it law-abiding citizens, because criminals don't care. I mean, let me see which criminal's going to go, oh, yeah, I have an illegal motorcycle. Let me go and,
go ahead and register that, right?
So the same thing happens with guns. They don't care. They're not going to register anything. Yeah. They're not even care if people do or don't. Yeah. That's not their business. So everything started with registration, and then started with prohibiting, certain things, and until they said, okay, now nobody can have firearms. Well, I wouldn't say nobody have firearms. Basically, what they said, nobody can sell firearms.
Okay.
Right. And it is like, and it's a little bit complex in a way, because even though they say that they're still give carry license, which have been suspended, whatever. But even though they say they do it, it would be like here in the United States, the government says, okay, if you want a conceal and carry license, you have to go to Washington, D.C. You have to go through, psychological, all the bureaucracy and all that stuff that you have to do, and probably spend 10, 15, 20 days and pay a ton of money to do it. And then maybe we issue your conceal and carry.
Gotcha.
So, you see, it is like, it's just to say, oh yeah, we
have it, on the books, but it's a de facto ban, essentially, is what it is. It's like, you can have all the food you want in the house, but you can't get inside the house. So you're not really feeding me at that point. but no, you're absolutely right. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll continue.